Hello everybody, and welcome back. Today, I will be showing you how I built the Skywalker lightsaber. Originally built and wielded by Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars, and given to his son Luke, who used it during his early years training as a Jedi and fighting with the Rebellion, and later came to Finn and then Rey, who used it in her fight against the First Order and the evil Kylo Ren. Showing up in so many movies over the course of nearly 50 years, it should be no surprise that there are many versions of this single lightsaber that exist throughout the series. And both because it's my favorite design and because it is the one that I believe to be the canon design, I will be building the version from The Force Awakens. To create the main handle of the lightsaber, I used a combination of a 1 1/4 inch diameter pipe and a 1 inch pipe. The real prop uses the handle of a camera flash attachment from the 1930s that was manufactured by a company called Graflex. This is what gives the upper section its unique curved design, and so I cut the 1 1/4 inch pipe to match the dimensions of the Graflex flash handle. Once that was done, I cut sections for the lower half and the part that goes around the middle. For this middle section, I cut one side of it and bent the metal so that it fits snugly over the other two halves of the handle like a sleeve. I then carved the appropriate grooves and holes into that sleeve. Though in the original prop, this sleeve is one continuous metal piece that sits flush over the others, this gap can be hidden under the control box later in this build, so that inaccuracy wouldn't matter. For the emitter ring that sits inside of the shroud, I used the 1 inch pipe and cut it in a way that I left it attached to a longer section that would sit inside the handle. This is inaccurate to the original, but it added stability in a way that was not very noticeable. To create the bunny ears on the back of the handle, I used 2 pieces of 1 inch pipe and cut, then bent them into the proper shape. When they were the way I wanted them, I taped them together and placed them to sit between the inner and outer parts of the emitter so that they would be kept in place securely by the pressure of the 2 parts. To create the core and the brass pin that sits inside the emitter of the lightsaber, I used a dowel wrapped in duct tape in a way that would make the sections of the handle sit flushly over it. I then painted the dowel that stuck out of the core gold and assembled the main portions of the handle by sliding them into place over the core. I used resin to create the grips in the control box. I started out by making the desired shape for both out of foam. For the grips specifically, I went with the riveted design that is present in all versions of this lightsaber after The Empire Strikes Back, as that is the way that they present in this version of the prop. After they were complete, I used rubber putty to create the molds, and then used quick cure resin to cast both the control box and the grips. There are 6 grips on this particular design, so after all 6 were cured, I painted them black with spray paint and used aluminum tape to make the rivets look like metal. The control box came out with a curved surface, which was not how I wanted it to look. This can often happen when resin casts cure improperly, causing parts of it to retract. But that didn't end up being too big of a problem, as I sanded it flat and decided to create the computer card section and the sidebars of the control box in one piece. To do this, I cut out a section of sheet metal to match the dimensions of the control box, masked off the stripes that would remain dark, and painted the rest gold. When it was dry and the tape removed, I used more aluminum tape for the silver bars of the control box and attached the whole thing to the box, which itself was attached to the sleeve of the handle in a way that covered the strategically placed seam that I mentioned before. At this point, I sealed up the bottom of the handle with a 1 1/4 inch diameter washer. I made the glass eye by using a smaller washer and placing a dab of hot glue into the hole after it was secured in place. For the back button, I used a similar bead of hot glue on a dowel that was cut to size, painted red, and fitted with aluminum tape before it was installed into the hole below the bunny ears. The last thing that I had to do was create the D-ring. I did this by first cutting a section of sheet metal and bending it into the proper shape. I then used some steel wire to create the D-ring itself by curling it into the proper shape and fitting it inside of the metal part. I then wrapped the non-silver parts in aluminum tape and attached it to the bottom of the handle using super glue, and so the Skywalker lightsaber was complete. I hope you all enjoyed that build. It has been such a long time since I've done any sort of prop replica build, and I think it's fitting to come back with a reimagining of the build that started it all for this channel. I hope to continue this series in the future and build more lightsabers from the Star Wars series. In fact, I've actually been inspired by another creator called Garrick's Apprentice, who is on a mission to build every single wand from the Harry Potter series. And so, I think I will do the same, but with lightsabers. Take this video as my first in a series where I build every single lightsaber from Star Wars. Ambitious, yes, it'll take a lot of time, but let me know what you'd like to see for my next lightsaber build in the comments below. And as always, a special thanks to my patrons who support the channel by making projects like this possible. If you would like to join them in their support, you can do so at the link in the description for as little as $3 a month. Thank you to all my patrons, and as always, thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, then leave a like, and if you want to see other videos like it, then subscribe, and turn on the bell to get notified when I upload next.